Hi guys, welcome to this lecture. In the previous lecture, we have built a functionality in which when we click on a button, so the paragraph is going to be hide, and then when we click another button, so it is visible to us. So now in this lecture, I am going to tell you about another event, that is double click. Here you see that when we click only one time on this button, so the paragraph is hidden. But now I'm going to tell a event when we double click on a button, so then the function then it will be hidden and it will be shown on the screen. Simply what we need to do, we just need to write here dbl click. It's mean double click, and now here it is, and here you can see that it is when we double click on it, so it is hidden. But when we single click on it, here is we also need to write the dbl here. So when we double click on the show button, it will be shown to us. So now here you see that when I single click on it, so it is not hidden, and when we double click on it, so it is hidden, and when we double click on the show, so it is shown to us. So this is just a double click event, and now I'm going to tell you about the main thing, that is the this selector. So what is the this selector? I have not tell you about this selector in the previous section, because at that time you cannot understand it betterly. So that's why I have tell you about this. I'm going to tell you about this selector in this video. Here I'm going to remove this thing, these buttons, and now these buttons are not on it. And now here I'm going to develop a functionality when we double click on the paragraph, or when we click on the paragraph, so it's going to be hide. And so now let's do this. Here is remove this, and here what we need to do, we have to write the div, because we have to write the div selector, because we have to reference to the div. When we double click on the div, so the div is going to be hide. Here is this, and here you can see that here I have double click on it, so it is hidden. Here you can see that double click and it is hidden. And here I want to tell you something, that here you can see that here we have select the div, and here we are again selecting the div, but we don't need to write this div again. We can write this keyword. So what is the this? This keyword will refer this div, because we want to apply the style on the div, and we have already selected the div. Here is we have already selected the div when we double click on it, so we don't need to write the div selector here. We just need to write the this, so this will refer this selector. And here refresh it, and when we double click on it, so here you can see that it is hidden, so it is working. And here I want to tell you another thing, that is here I'm going to create another div. Here it is. This is little bit about the functionality of the this keyword. So now there are two divs, and now here it is. Here I'm gonna create a distance in between these divs, and here is br line break. Here it is. So now what is the selector? When we click on any div, this means it will select the div on which we will click. This div will select any div on which we will click, and then that div will be hidden. So now what is this functionality here? If we click on the first div, here I'm gonna write some text into it. 1, and here is 2. Here is 1 and 2. When I click on first div, so here you can see that the first div will be hidden. When I click on the second div, so it will be hidden, and here you can see that when I click on the second and 1, so both divs are working perfectly. Both divs are hidden. When we click on this div, so these divs will be hidden. And here is what is the functionality of this div selector. Its functionality is just simply is that when we click on any div, when we double click on any div, it will select that div. If we click on first div, so this div selector will refer to the first div. If we click on the second div, so this div selector will refer the second div. And then the div is selected on which we will click, so this keyword will refer to that div that is selected on which we have clicked. This at this point, this keyword is important, because if we write simply div, so it will select any div. It will select any div from these two divs, and it will not select that div on which we have clicked in this statement. Here you can see that here I'm going to show this thing. Here is, and when I click on the second div, here you can see that I have clicked on the second div, but both divs are hidden. Here you see that when I click on the first div, so both divs are hidden, because here in the hide statement we have write div selector, so it will select both divs, but this statement, this first statement, select only that div on which we have clicked, and we have to refer that div on which we have clicked. So that's why here we have to write this keyword to select that div on which we have clicked in this statement. So I hope you understand this point. If you don't understand, you just need to do this practical, and then you can understand it clearly. And if you have the confusion, then kindly add the discussion, and please practice this code of this keyword, then you can understand it clearly. So if you have any problems, so kindly add the discussion. I will help you as much as I can. Thank you for watching this video.